Thanksgiving, and welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're on episode 372. Just being thankful for being resellers.
That's right. And I know that we have listeners and viewers from all over the world, but here in the States, it is Thanksgiving week. And that's a big time because not only do we have the holiday of Thanksgiving and all that brings, but also that means Black Friday. And in the past, we've done some Black Friday episodes specifically before or after Black Friday. But this year, we wanted to talk about kind of what it is that we're thankful for and grateful for as resellers. We've done these as well, but it's really important, I think, especially, if you've been listening over the last couple of years, there have been some seasons where, things have been rough. And we can oftentimes talk about how things are challenging and how things are rough. But we also want to remember that it's a paradigm, right? It's how you look at things. And if you look at things through just all of the challenges, you're going to burn out, you're going to be upset, you're going to be grumpy. But if you take a time to step back a little bit and actually think about the things you're grateful for because of reselling, what reselling does that's positive, that can totally change your mindset. And you can go into the rest of this Q4 with a solid, positive attitude.
And I'm laughing because, right now, if you were to check most YouTube, it's pretty much all sales are slow, things are horrible. Is this the end of eBay? It's time for me to find a job. And listen, we resonate with all that. All you have to do is listen to all of the podcasts before this one. Well, we thought we'd focus on this one of why reselling is something that we're thankful that we have the opportunity to do. And so the first one is, I really, talk about this a lot, is the independence of it. Not necessarily the time freedom. We'll talk about that. That's key. And none of these are in particular order. Some might be more something that people enjoy. Like somebody might say, nope, I just like making money. That's my main reason I like reselling. Some might say the time freedom. Some might say the reselling community. And so these are no particular order. But I do like the independence. I like the fact that as a full-time seller, I don't answer to anybody. I can work when I want. I can, source when I want. I can list when I want. Now, it's not complete freedom. Don't get me wrong. The reselling platforms are taskmasters, right? You have to be active. You have to be listing. You have to provide good customer service. But I do like the independence. I like the independence of, even when you're part-time, and I think you can talk about this more, the fact that it's not like you're, I remember earlier on when I was younger, wow, 18 years ago now, more than 18 years ago. Oh, man, I feel old. So before my firstborn son was born, I remember I needed some extra money. And I didn't really think about eBay, and I got a job at In-N-Out Burger. And I did that. And it was, I think I got paid $9.25, which was a lot back then, okay, to start off with. And guess what? I had to go into work when they scheduled me, right? And if I wanted to take off time of work, I had to take off time of work if they were able to. If something were to happen at home, I had to figure things out, right? But with eBay, right, if I had eBay back then, I probably could have made more money. I could have, chosen my own hours. I could have I didn't have to put on a facade every time. Because, In-N-Out has some of the nicest people. I think they're up there with Chick-fil-A. Like, they're always nice and professional. And, sometimes you get those moments you just don't want to be around people, right? And I find a lot of resellers love that. Like, reselling to introverts is a blessing, right? Because they really don't have to interact with anybody face-to-face ever if they want to. I mean, honestly. And that's the independence of reselling. Like, for example, I'm out in the country of San Diego, and, I don't have to be, within certain miles of a workplace. I don't have to be, certain miles of a place that I need to constantly be all the time. I can actually live out in the middle of nowhere. Now, it does make sourcing a little bit difficult. I have to drive, maybe half hour to go to garage sales, or if I want to go to a thrift store. I do have a post office nearby, though. But it gives you that independence. And the other independence is right now I'm in this place where my oldest son is graduating from high school, and I can move anywhere I want, right? I'm not held by my job. I don't have to hope that I get another job wherever I move. I will have to learn how to source there, and I will have to learn, all the different things you have to learn in reselling when you go to a new location. But the reality is I can work anywhere within the 50 states, and I don't have to answer anybody about that. So I do enjoy that independence. And when you're part time, right? Going back to that, idea of like if you need a side job, you can turn this on and turn this off whenever you need that extra money.
Yeah, that's good. And honestly, there are some people who need to have bosses. And it's not a bad
I might
thing,
be one of those people.
But there are some people who they need to be just told, like, here's what your day looks like, here's what you're gonna do. They don't want to think too hard about things. I mean, when I worked corporate life, there were phrases. You had the people who wanted to move up, you had the slackers, and then you had the steady eddies, right? The people who just they came into work, they did the thing they needed to do. They had no motivation for promotion. They were hard workers, but they wanted the here's your task list, here's what you're gonna do, and so the thing that separates reselling from people like that is those type of people they're not gonna enjoy the independence of reselling. But people who hate that part of the 9 to 5 are gonna find that flexibility and freedom and independence of not being told necessarily what to do and being able to figure out the best path and what works for you. So yeah, it's not for everybody, but for those people, reselling is an incredible option that's really hard to come by if you're not a reseller. The next thing at reselling, one of the things that we're very grateful for, and honestly, I mean, this is kind of like the king. None of us would be doing it without it, and that's the cash that it provides. Obviously, all the things that come, whether it's extra time or all the other things that we will talk about, none of those things come aside from the cash, right? Like, it's because we're exchanging time and effort and knowledge and all of those things that we get some cash out of it that makes it worthwhile. And reselling is one of those things that if you're just part-time, you can ramp it up when needed. You can slow it down when needed. You could take breaks. You're going to probably do better than most side gigs, with a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of dedication, a little bit of determination. You're going to have that independence and flexibility, and you're probably going to make a little bit more than you would make if you were just doing grinding out a part-time job somewhere, whether it's retail or food or something. Not necessarily, but the potential is certainly there. And you also have the potential of really going full-time and making it a career, or making it something where you are not just paying some extra bills or getting ahead and out of debt or going on vacation, but actually this is my life now. And reselling is one of those things where the harder you work, the more money you're going to make, as long as you're working smartly. And not every job is like that. There's a lot of jobs you can go into. If you got a 9 to 5, you could go in today and say, for the next month, I'm going to work 10 times harder than I've ever worked in my life at this place. And maybe at the end of the day, you might be on the radar for a promotion, maybe not, but your paycheck isn't going to be any more unless you've got a commission job. But whereas reselling, if I said, you know what, for the next month, I'm going to be working 10 times harder than I've ever worked, I'm going to be sourcing more, I'm going to be working more, you've got more control over that cash. And that is an incredible thing that reselling provides.
Yeah, and not saying there are guarantees, but the reality is if you have some items that you've been holding on to for a while and you need some quick cash, you can lower that price. You can run a sale. You can accept a low offer if need be. You can go on Whatnot and run an auction. There's various avenues available to you where, like you said, there's only so much money you can put in a check. You may be able to work a little bit more overtime. You may be able to take on some extra duties. But the reality is you have way more control about how much more money you want to make in reselling than you would in your normal 9 to 5. Now, this is the one, I don't know, this is up there with like on the, at the top. And this is the reason I still resell. And it's the hunt, right? The adrenaline rush, the dopamine hit, going to that local deal. And you're like, hey, do you have any more items? And they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, you know what? Let's go up in my attic and see what's up there. And you go up in the attic and there's, boxes of vintage toys or vintage teas. Or you go to a garage sale. Or you're at the thrift store, right? You're thinking thrift stores, man, I can't go there anymore. And I haven't been there in a long time. But there's still moments when I go and out of nowhere I find this very rare, unique item that sells for a ton of money that the thrift store has missed. And so to me, I love the modern day treasure hunt. The fact that I never know. This is why I love Saturday mornings. I think that's where the dopamine kicks in, is the process of the unknown, right? That maybe this house didn't work out, but maybe the next house, or maybe the next house, or maybe the last house, or maybe it didn't work out this week, next week. And it's kind of an addiction, I would say, for me. But I there's a lot of things you can be addicted to that are bad for you. This one, as long as you're being careful with how much you spend on items, and you're making sure you're listing them, it's a pretty good addiction to have. And so I definitely, one of the reasons I love the hunt, I don't know how many jobs that can give you that instant gratification of knowing that you did a good job by you finding something, you sell it for a lot of money, and you're like, you know what, I did a good job. I found that item, I figured out its worth, I ended up selling it, and now it's paying me. Instead of getting the pizza party, I'm getting or the turkey for Thanksgiving as a bonus. I'm instead getting cash in hand as that bonus.
Yeah, no, that's great. Now, did you want to mention here? We've got one of the things we're also thankful for when it comes to reselling, and that is My Reseller Genie. So, we found a lot of tools along our way of reselling, and some of the tools have been great. Some of them have gone away, which has been a bummer. Like we had the yard sale treasure map. Like that was an incredible tool. Like that was a game changer. Background removal before eBay had the background removal. Like tools that make your reselling life easier. And My Reseller Genie is one of those ones that we've come across that we actually believe in, that we actually use, and has actually stood the test of time for us because it is a product that is going to save you time. One of the things that keeps people out of reselling a lot of times is the fear of taxes and how uncomfortable that is. And even for longtime resellers, it's still one of those things that can make reselling not enjoyable. So if you're using a product like My Reseller Genie, it's going to help you track all of your expenses. It's going to help you track the cost of goods. It's going to help you have all of that information. And when tax time comes, you're going to save so much time on your taxes. You're going to have all the documents you need right there at your fingertips, and you're going to have the data that you can use to help you to adjust what you're doing, which kind of leads to our next point. So sign up for My Reseller Genie. Use the link that we have in our description.
Code Pure Hustle, all caps.
That's right. Pure Hustle, all caps. But one of the things that you can use My Reseller Genie for is that data, and data is crucial when you're trying to improve. And one of the things we love about reselling, we're thankful for, is always being able to learn. Whether that's learning how to manage a business better, learning how you do your finances, or the most fun, which is learning new things. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've known nothing about something. Ham radio or Orlando with Hot Wheels, right? Like, there could be something you know nothing about, but you're kind of interested in. You come across it at a garage sale. You come across it at a thrift store, and next thing you know, you're able to research and learn and not only become profitable, but now you've got a wealth of knowledge that you didn't have before, which you can turn around and make more money with it. But then it's also just really cool to have all of that knowledge. A lot of times in a normal 9-to-5 job, I've done several throughout my life, and currently as a teacher, the whole concept of you're always learning, there's some truth to that, but a lot of times what you learn, like we're going to do this whatever conference to help you sell things better, to help you be a better team member, or at the restaurant or whatever it is you're doing. A lot of times the things you learn, the things they have, we're going to do this program, it's not something you're actually going to ever use in your real life. It's a waste of time. Maybe it's just gives you the slogans you're going to use at work over the next couple of weeks. But the nice thing with reselling is this is knowledge that's exciting to learn. And then for the rest of your life, you've got tons of new information. It's like you really are getting paid to just learn tons of things all the time. And that's so cool to be able to walk around and say, like, oh, I know a lot about these kinds of antique books, or, oh, these are these types of toys, and you've got the history on them. And you get to appreciate things that you have, the things you see around you in ways you just couldn't before, on top of more money. I mean, it's a win-win-win.
Yeah, it's interesting. This isn't in our notes, but on a side note, whenever you get those hauls of like vintage items, it's really cool. So, for example, I recently picked up a bunch of programs for the Chargers from the opening of the stadium back in the 60s. And it was just cool looking at like Dodge Challenger ads. It was cool looking at old vintage clothing ads, and just being able to reminisce. Right? It's. I mean, maybe because it's the history part of me. I'm a history teacher too, that really enjoys that. But I do enjoy finding out, where these vintage items came from, the story behind them. I mean, you learn so much just being a reseller. It's interesting because especially when I meet the OG resellers that are, in their 60s and 70s, sometimes when I, go make a local deal or I'm doing a garage sale, or they contact us on the podcast, and I ask them about a certain item, and like they know so much, right? And it's because of all the years of reselling. And on top of that, there's also lessons learned, good and bad. For example, I just had a Singer sewing machine returned to me damaged. And it was damaged because the individual didn't make sure that when they returned it, the item was packed correctly. And so now I know how to even, you know, ship it tighter and ship it better so it gets to the right place. And I know it sounds silly, but honestly, like if anybody has a shipping question that knows I'm a reseller, they come to me because I can ship anything now. Right? You know, just basic things. Mike, now you probably, even if you have to ship for yourself, you'll never go to the post office. Right? You'll go to pirate ship, right? You'll use the supplies. You know the shipping, you know how that works. For me, when I'm trying to buy stuff for myself, for my house, like I actually know the value of things, right? So, you know, for example, you know, years ago, you know, when you're young and you're new, you get money and you buy your first set of furniture. Like you don't do you do a little bit of research, but you really don't know things, right? But now that I'm a reseller, like when I moved into my new property, all the stuff I bought off of Craigslist, and I bought everything for like 25% of the retail price. And it's because I knew the value. I knew from reselling, I knew from being out there. And so I learned a lot of lessons about what's good to pick up, what's not good to pick up, what is good material, what is not good material. There's just so many indirect lessons that are learned. The other ones are, you know, negotiation. Like Mike and I would say both of us in the beginning, we weren't as, I don't want to use the word brash, but we weren't as forward with our negotiating. And now we're really comfortable. Like we're used to people saying no to us. Customer service, right? It gets you out of your comfort zone. Like you're so used to things going your way, but what if they don't go your way? And reselling definitely has taught me how to be patient, has taught me how to, you know, figure how to resolve things, whether it be out when I'm trying to make a deal or whether it's on eBay when somebody is upset about something. I don't know if that made sense, but there's so many indirect lessons that are learned.
Yeah, no, that's great. And not only do we get to learn those lessons, those things we get to apply to our life, but we also have tons of other opportunities from reselling. For instance, being able to help other people. You know, maybe it's somebody you know who they're trying to make a little bit of extra money, and they're wondering how to do it, and you can kind of just give them that advice, like, hey, I know you're looking at making some extra money. If you were to sell this, this, and this, and here's how you can do it. And a lot of times, it's people that ask you those questions, right? It's not like you just come up and say, like, well, you should sell your stuff if you need money. But people will say, like, hey, like I'm trying to make some extra money, like. Should I sell this on Facebook Marketplace or maybe on eBay? And you get to be that support for people, which is a ton of fun, and it's really rewarding. On top of that, reselling has led us to this podcast, which has opened up just an incredible community for us. We've got the Patreon Discord group that we have, which is just full of people who've got a ton of knowledge, full of people who are like really just kind, awesome people. Like there's a ton of people on that list that I would love to just hang out with, right? Like you see them talk about things, you're like, man, this seems like a cool person I could actually spend time with. And so, and it's not just our Discord group, but it's on Instagram, it's on YouTube. Like you've got a pretty cool community, social media, people that are willing to help each other. I mean, you're always going to have in every community on social media, you ask a question and people will get upset. It's in no matter what hobby you're into, you're going to find those people. But I've actually found that the reselling community is really, really willing to help people identify what a product is or give tips and solutions on how to ship something. For the most part, you're going to be surrounded by people who are just genuinely good people who don't see you as competition, but sees you as somebody that's trying to make it too. Now, if you're going on social media and blowing hot bolos during Q4, you might make some people upset, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to be running into incredible people in this community. Even at garage sales and thrift stores, occasionally there's the resellers who can be, troublesome. But for the most part, when you meet another reseller, there's a connection there, which is it's really cool. So we love being able to do that as resellers, have the connection, being able to help friends and family of ours that, maybe needing to make a little bit of extra money. You're a go-to person that they can ask for help. And, I'll kind of add it on to this. It wasn't exactly on the notes here, but it also just gives you a lot of cool things to talk about with friends and with people around you. You're at a holiday dinner, you got Thanksgiving coming up. If you just have an average, normal 9-to-5 job where nobody really knows what you do, it's like, what do you do? Like even as a teacher, I tell people, oh, I'm a teacher. Oh yeah, what grade? Oh, high school, freshman. Oh, that's cool. And then the conversation moves on. But then the moment you tell somebody like, yeah, I also sell a bunch of stuff on eBay, people want to know more. They're interested, and it gives you an opportunity to share with people. And so that's just one of the opportunities that opens up. You have something interesting to talk about. You have something interesting to contribute. and you'd be surprised how many people are eager to learn what it is you do and maybe get some advice on how to do it as well.
Yeah, I want to add on to that because it's been pretty awesome. I'll be out in the like the other day I was at Chili's and with my family, and somebody came up to me. They're like, "Hey, Rolando," and I was like, "I don't know." But they're like, "Hey, you don't know who I am, but I listen to the podcast, and I just want to let you know, it's really helped me out. Like all the stuff you guys had talked about, I implemented and it worked out. And to me, it's great hearing that because when sales are slow, sometimes I'm like, all right, why are we doing the podcast, right? Because we're documenting, right? We're not gurus. We don't have all the knowledge, but we do share our mistakes. And we do share when things are kind of slow. And so it's awesome when people go, you know what? I know things have been tough for all of us, but you've helped me out. I remember one guy I came across. Yeah, talked about he just got he was locked up for a little bit and he was having a hard time finding a job. And I met him down. I think it was after church somewhere. This was like 2-3 years ago, and he was telling me how caught onto the podcast. He had gone to garage sales, and he was able to make money while he was trying to get himself situated. And I'm like, wow, that says a lot because in reselling, there is no background check. There is no, nobody's trying to figure out who you are. You have the ability to just go out there and find something profitable and make a living. And it really meant a lot to me because they're like, I didn't know what I was going to do for a little bit, but it definitely helped me get out of a bad situation. And now while I'm trying to get, a job that's more steady, that provides health benefits and everything, I can do reselling to kind of be that bridge at that time. So I definitely appreciate the opportunities. And the other opportunities, too, is it makes you think outside the box. I never invested money until I was a reseller. It's interesting because when I had my 9 to 5, I remember it was paycheck to paycheck. Any extra money I had went into my 401k because the place I worked at would match it, and that's pretty much it. I didn't think about like, hey, maybe I should put some money in the stock market. Maybe I should put some money in crypto. Maybe I should invest in some other business. Maybe I should, the podcast, right? We invest money in the podcast and hoping it'll give us returns. It just helped me think wider, right? For example, even now, I teach homeschool as a co-op. I'm an independent contractor, and I would have never thought that I could do something outside the box like this, right? And usually when you think about teaching, you have to teach, 5 days a week. You have to be there an hour before school starts, an hour after it ends, and all that. And I don't. I do it once a week. I teach 3 hours. I do spend several hours preparing and also follow up with homework and grades and emails. But eBay has allowed me to think that, hey, I can do eBay and I can do this. And so, and it's not just eBay, it's reselling. I'm thankful for reselling, but I am thankful for eBay too. But the reality is it opens you up to other opportunities, right? You and I, Mike, I think we've run through so many ideas in the last 5 years that were not necessarily reselling related, but they were like entrepreneur kind of ideas. Yep. And it's because of reselling, right? Give us maybe the money to invest in it, or maybe it gave us the ideas to invest in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've actually started quite a few little side things. Some have worked, some haven't worked. And I've got another one on the table right now that I'm kind of throwing around. Yeah, again, a lot of that is just knowledge from reselling. I know how businesses work. I know how taxes work. I know how, making an LLC or partnership or whatever. I know the forms and the paperwork and all of the things that that have come from reselling on top of, how to manage inventory and how to manage time and how to be okay if something fails, right? Because the nice thing with reselling is it's a little side business where there's a lot of little side trial and errors. Whereas, some businesses, it's like it's all or nothing, right? Like I put all my money into this business, it fails, I'm out. Whereas reselling, it's like you could try this product. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, this was a home run. Let me try this type of picture taking. Let me try. So you get lots of little trial and error that you get to do to really learn how to make things work. And if you get something where it's like, oh, that failed. I failed on that one. I failed on that one. I won on that one. I did okay on that one. It gives you the confidence that you can try more things because you've learned, okay, not everything is going to succeed the first time. And if not, that's okay. You've learned to not put all of your eggs in one basket. You learned how to, sometimes it takes time. Sometimes some of your best things will sit for a while before it sells. Same thing with a business idea. So for sure, reselling teaches you a lot about just business life in general.
No, agreed. Now, before we continue moving, I just wanted one more thing onto this is I got to tell you, I've made a ton of friendships from reselling. Now, granted, I'm a full-time seller, so obviously I'm out in the field, but it's really interesting. Sell quick, ship quick. Spend a lot of time with them. From the sort, when you're out sourcing with people, right? You got to grab a meal. Sometimes, I was doing some sourcing it would require me to stay overnight, and allowed me to have a lot of good friendships. My friend Fernando, who was a reseller in San Diego, it's kind of funny because we met before he was a reseller. I didn't know that, but I remember going to a garage sale. And I'm like, you got any more? He's like, yeah. He's come on in, and I went to his garage, and he had all this inventory, and he thought it was kind of weird that I'm like, hey, can I go inside and see what you have? And then he always remembered that. And then a year later, I don't know what it was, but we just started talking. And then he's like, hey, why don't you come over for Halloween? Why don't you come over for Thanksgiving? And then we just started hanging out, and the bond that we have was out of reselling. And now he's moved. He's probably listening to the podcast, but I do miss his family being around here, but I've developed a lot of friendships. I find that in the reselling community, more people are out there to help you than to, take away from you. I know a lot of people are very protective about things, and I understand there's some, Amazon stuff that you can't necessarily share, but I remember at eBay Open, I think we got along with everyone. I don't think there was anybody that were like, yeah, I don't know if I want to hang out with them again. I don't know if I want to see those people again. Like, everybody was really cool. Everybody was really awesome. So really appreciated that from the ability to resell. Now, another friendship that we've been able to have is with Joel from American Bubble Boy. And we're bringing this up because starting this Saturday, we have Small Business Saturday, and American Bubble Boy is doing giveaways. So if you haven't bought anything from American Bubble Boy, you can use our link below. It'll just, give us a little bit, and it'll help you out too, in the sense that it'll connect you to a great product. They also have tape, which if you do use our code Pure Hustle, you'll get 5% off. It's already super cheap, $34.99, and you get like 24 rolls, and it's free shipping. And anything they ship is free shipping, next day, 2-day, depending where you're at. But yeah, be on the lookout. November 25th through the 29th. Celebrating small business is going to be a bunch of giveaways, so keep an eye on that website, and if you ever buy, make sure to use our link.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. One of the other things that we are very thankful for when it comes to reselling is the fact that sometimes it can be passive. Now, we're really big on the idea that there's really no such thing as passive income. Now, that being said, there are forms of income that are more passive than other, right? You are not going to be able to passively make income if you work at Walmart, right? Unless you own enough stock in Walmart that you're just making money off of that. So you are not going to make passive income if you're not showing up. Even if you're able to take time off of work because you've had paid time off build up, it's still not passive. Work was put in for that. Whereas with reselling, there actually is a little bit of flexibility there and some opportunities for it to become somewhat passive. You can kind of front load some work, get a lot of sourcing done, get all your pictures taken, and then you could take a week, 2 weeks where you're not really sourcing as much, you're not really listing as much, and you're kind of just packing and shipping stuff. And you can even go on vacation, put time away, or just change your shipping and handling time. Sometimes that works, where you're still going to be getting sales. Sales come in, and you're not even at the office, right? You're not even working. You're not even around your inventory, and money is coming in, which is, kind of a unique thing when it comes to side businesses. Because again, most side businesses, if I wanted to start a wedding photography business, if I wanted to start a food catering service, if I wanted anything like that, the money's not flowing if I'm not actively working. Whereas, with reselling, you have a lot more flexibility. In fact, the nice thing with that is there are times when it's easier to put in the time and effort, and there's times when you need to be more passive. So the fact that you can be making money, pretty decent amount of money in eBay or through whatever platform you do for reselling, without having to source and list maybe for weeks or months is really, really nice, because there might come a time in your life where you need a week off, and the money can still be flowing. So it is not completely passive, but it is far more passive than actually having to go out and work and grind nonstop.
But it's awesome. For example, I went on a college trip earlier this year, and I was gone for a week. And while I was gone, I made about $1,500 in sales. And yeah, did I enjoy packing it when I came back home? No, but how many jobs are out there where, while you're gone on vacation, you're still getting paid? Now, if you have a paid vacation, obviously you'll get paid, okay? But, most of the time, if you're really trying to take time off, right, you don't have sales coming through, you don't have money coming through, and I can't tell you how many times I went on a road trip. I remember when I was sourcing for Amazon, I was still selling on eBay, and vice versa. When I was sourcing for eBay, I was selling on Amazon, and so there's nothing completely passive, but it can feel a little bit passive, and it gives you the ability to take a break when you need to. All right, now I'm just going to jump to our last one, our favorite one here, and I think Mike will agree on this. Actually, I've been really on this one because, when I was finalizing my taxes, my tax person, looked at my numbers because I haven't been doing as well as I have over the last few years. 2022 was a rough year, and 2023 has been a tough year too. And they said, Orlando, how much longer do you think you're gonna do this? Like, it's not like it used to be, right? Because man, the numbers in 2020 and 2021 were amazing, and things have changed, and it made me think about that. And then I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this for a little bit, until something else comes up, until I'm called to something else. But this is why. I started doing this when my oldest was 12 years old and my youngest was, if I can do my math right, about 6 years old. Okay, so I have spent the last 5 to 6 years as a reseller full time, and I've had the ability to go on so many trips. I've been able to drop everything. If I need, my son goes, Dad, I forgot. I actually have this event I'm going to, or hey, can you make it out? We just made, I don't know, we made, to finals or something, or whatever it is. Like, I don't have to go, oh, I don't know, I think I got to work. I think I'm going to have to talk to the boss and schedule time off. I'm just able to go. I'm able to drop everything. And it's been pretty amazing to do that. Before, I don't know if many of you know my story, but I was an administrator and I was working about 18 plus hours a day. Definitely on my feet, at least 12 to 14. And then the other 4 was, going to different events, emails, phone calls, everything. And by the time I got home, I maybe got to see my kids for 30 minutes to an hour. Now, I think my kids are sick of me. And so, to me, I really, really, I'm thankful that Reselling has given me this opportunity to not stress as much about finances and give me the freedom to spend time with them. And I would say even part-time, I think you could say that too, right, Mike?
Yeah, no, for sure. The kind of flexibility that you get, the kind of the value you get out of reselling is really unbeatable for sure.
Yeah, and so Mike and I can both talk about how many times we've been able to do things and spend time with our family, and we don't have to always be out there doing something. We don't always have to be out there sourcing or always listing. Because we can get to it, and you got to be disciplined. I know I always make fun of that word, but you do have to be disciplined to be successful as a reseller. But being disciplined allows you the opportunity to take that time off when you need to. So hopefully all these encourage you to keep going. Even if things are slow, even if things are going well, keep going, keep hustling. Get out there, get that sourcing done, get those listings done, get those packages shipped, and make sure to make the most of that reselling and make the most of Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with friends and family. It's also good to take some time off and just be thankful with everyone who's close. And with that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling. Peace.